On a luxurious cruise ship, a woman in red swayed her hips lazily, singing seductively with her crimson lips. The atmosphere was relaxed and joyful. Handsome men and beautiful women danced happily in the ballroom, a little girl played with a Rubik's Cube on the sofa, and the staff diligently served the guests. Everything seemed perfect. Then, the woman in red invited everyone to stand up and dance together. The crowd eagerly joined the dance floor, dancing with enthusiasm. No one noticed that the engine had started on its own, slowly tightening a soft wire. A tool that was usually safe was about to become a deadly weapon. As the music reached its climax, the machine spun faster, and death drew nearer. Finally, the tension reached its peak. The taut wire, with immense force, snapped and flew out. Flowers were instantly sliced in half. What would happen to a human body? The world fell silent. Only the engine's mechanical arms moved. Blood slowly dripped from the man in the suit. The little girl blinked and saw a wine glass split in half. A man's hand fell from his body. She clung tightly to the captain, watching as people's clothes tore apart, their bodies bleeding, sliding from the severed parts. Terrified, the little girl turned her head. Everyone had collapsed. A woman tried to piece her body back together, her severed hand still reaching out for help. Now, only the little girl and the captain remained standing. She turned to look at the captain, and a bloodstain appeared on his face. Half of his skull slowly slid off, and his body fell. May 21, 1962. The Italian luxury liner Antonia Grazia was sailing near the Bering Strait when it suddenly vanished along with hundreds of passengers, becoming one of the most famous maritime mysteries in modern history. 40 years later, Jack and his crew set out to find the Antonia Grazia, but the night was dark and it was raining heavily. They could only rely on radar to navigate. Suddenly, the Antonia Grazia appeared like a ghost ship right in front of them. Jack quickly turned the wheel to avoid a collision. The situation was suspicious, but they decided to board the ship. As they stepped on board, the pendulum clock stopped swinging and made a loud noise. Building blocks began to move on their own. Darkness enveloped everything. Jack warned everyone to watch their step. But the next moment, someone fell. Julie rushed to help but saw a little girl standing below. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared. After rescuing the fallen crew member, they split up to continue exploring. In the cabin, they found a digital watch, something that shouldn't exist in 1962. Things were getting stranger. Jack discovered a glass of wine in a room. As he was about to drink it, he looked up and saw that the reflection in the mirror wasn't his own. Frightened, he turned and fled. In the ashtray, someone noticed a cigarette still burning slowly. They panicked and left. Julie walked to the swimming pool and found bullet holes on the wall. Feeling the danger, she tried to climb up but was scared by the sudden appearance of the little girl and fell back down. Fortunately, Jack arrived in time to save her. They decided to leave together. No one noticed that blood had started to flow from the bullet holes, filling the entire pool. They entered a sealed room. Julie opened the door to leave, but a massive amount of water, carrying corpses, rushed in. These were fresh bodies, even though the ship had disappeared 40 years ago. The door behind them automatically locked. Julie panicked and tried to contact her teammates but found no signal. She had no choice but to move forward nervously. Suddenly, she saw something moving ahead. Cautiously, she approached, kicked open a package, and opened a box. Countless rats sprang out, scaring her into retreating. Beside her, Jack's eyes widened. Gold, so much gold. They quickly called their companions. They were about to become rich. Everyone was ecstatic and decided to take the gold and leave the ship immediately. One moment, they were at the pinnacle of life, surrounded by gold bars and beauty. The next moment, they were told that leaving with these items could be life-threatening. What would you choose? A heated discussion ensued, even leading to a fight. But they forgot that this was a ghost ship, not a place one could leave at will. Two crew members, starving for days, finally found canned food on the ship and began eating happily, but one of them suddenly noticed that the rice grains at the corner of his mouth were moving. They weren't rice grains but maggots wriggling. One crew member drank alone in the hall, missing his fiancée. Suddenly, everything around him began to move, slowly reverting to its state 40 years ago. Terrified, he sobered up instantly. He watched as the woman in red approached him and gently kissed him. Even though he knew it wasn't real, he succumbed. In the end, he followed the naked woman and was lured into the ship's depths. Jack blamed himself for everyone's danger and sat in despair. But the wine bottle on the table moved on its own. In the blink of an eye, an old captain appeared across the table. He told Jack that everyone on the ship 40 years ago was killed, and the only survivor was the murderer, who was now among Jack's companions. Jack couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, Julie heard someone calling her and followed the voice. The doors ahead suddenly opened, seemingly inviting her in. She entered a cozy children's room and began to examine it carefully. Suddenly, the cabinet door opened, revealing a skeleton. She screamed in terror. After calming down, she took down the skeleton's pendant to examine it. At that moment, a girl in white appeared behind her. Julie tried to give her the pendant, but it passed right through her hand. Only then did she realize the girl was a ghost. The little girl told Julie that the ship was dangerous and urged her to leave quickly. Just as she was about to reveal more, blood began to drip from the ceiling, and the little girl disappeared. Julie had no choice but to find her teammates. In the corridor, she encountered Jack, but he was hallucinating, seeing her as a deceased crew member. Thinking she was going to harm him, he lunged at her, trying to kill her. Julie had no choice but to fight back. Just as she was about to lose, Jack appeared in time to save her. They decided to lock Jack up to prevent further incidents. When Julie met the little girl again, she was taken back to the crime scene from 40 years ago. She saw the mastermind behind the massacre. It was Jack. Knowing the truth, she hurried to find her companions but only found one drowned, another stabbed to death, and another shredded by machinery. Now, only Julie, another crew member, and Jack remained on the ship. The crew member found Julie and tried to stop her from blowing up the cruise ship, but she refused. The crew member had no choice but to drop the disguise and revert to Jack. It turned out the crew member had already been killed by Jack. The situation was dire. Julie was suddenly knocked into the water by a rotating pillar. Jack followed her, and they struggled together. Julie seized the opportunity to pick up a stick from the bottom of the water. Jack thought she was going to attack him, but to his surprise, she struck the bomb's remote control. The cruise ship exploded instantly. The trapped souls were finally freed, slowly drifting into the sky. Julie survived, floating on the sea.